He was the best star pilot in the galaxy, and a cunning warrior. This is only one Kenobi here, only one. Now, this is a video I have been meaning to do for a long time. This is a figure that I would like to highlight on its own in a specially edited video, featuring HD footage of the actual figure in packaging and out. And it is a figure that is just one I'd consider to be underrated. It is, of course, the Legacy Collection Anakin Skywalker concept art. Now, the reason I like this figure so much is because it says so much about Star Wars in one figure. For me, personally, it wraps a lot of the saga into one figure, from Episode 1 to Episode 6. That's in the look, the style. It's a well-articulated figure around about the time of the Legacy Collection. That was the advent of super-articulated figures. I first saw this figure online, I think when I was getting back into collecting. I saw it and I thought, wow, I really want to get that. The first reason I have to say is the head sculpt is, without question, the best head sculpt for Hayden Christensen that you're ever going to see on a 3.75 figure. Several other figures just don't seem to work for me. They they look like 80s hairband metal kind of mullets and God knows what, but this one just seemed to snatch, especially in the hairstyle, Hayden Christensen and his appearance in Episode 3. But the three main reasons why I really love this figure are as follows. Number one, he's holding that blue lightsaber. Now, that's my favourite lightsaber in the whole saga, Luke's. Mainly because the first ever Star Wars film I saw was A New Hope, and it's the first time I ever saw a lightsaber fired up. And it's the first thing that he says to him. He says, "It's your father's lightsaber. It's the weapon of a Jedi Knight." Now keep in mind this is pre-prequel, so nobody ever knew what he looked like. No one knew of Hayden Christensen back then, but there was always this sentimental tie with that lightsaber that it belonged to his father. That's why I'll never forget being devastated when Luke's arm was chopped off and the lightsaber went down the shaft just before Vader revealed that he was his father, which nobody believed back then. It was an emotional scene because, especially for me as a child, I remember thinking, oh no, he's lost his dad's lightsaber, I love the fact that he's holding that lightsaber, and if ever there was to be an image of Luke Skywalker's father, it would be this elegant-looking Jedi Knight with a flowing robe behind him, clutching that powerful blue lightsaber as a Clone Wars general. The second main reason why I think this figure works so well is the black attire. Now, as it says on the back of the box, in this concept art by Sang Jung Lee, Anakin wears the dark Jedi apparel that outwardly reflects his inner conversion to the dark side of the Force. The outfit was designed to echo the clothing worn by his son Luke during the climactic battle with Emperor Palpatine. I love this figure because the black attire certainly does tie in not only the prequel era with the Hayden Christensen head sculpt, but Return of the Jedi, where Luke indeed does wear the black apparel. Now, back when the Return of the Jedi first came out, nobody really thought twice about Luke wearing black. Yes, it did sort of reflect the colours of Vader and the Emperor, however, nobody really appreciated that wearing black outwardly reflect any darkness. Luke was always a good guy in our minds. However, when you subsequently see the prequels, you learn things, especially from the Visual Dictionary, and I'm going to now read to you from the Star Wars Attack of the Clones Visual Dictionary from 2002. There is a paragraph under the subheading Dark Knight. It says, "The tunics, robes and cloaks worn by Jedi are honoured traditions, but not uniforms. From the time they became Padawans, Jedi are free to dress as they choose. Anakin Skywalker breaks with tradition in his garments, both in their colour and material. His distinctive dark clothing makes him stand out at the Jedi Temple and draws concern from Jedi elders." Now then, this figure, he is dressed in complete black. Now, in the final cut of Revenge of the Sith, he isn't wearing complete black as is depicted in this concept art design by Sang Jung Lee. But the dark lighting in the movie and the overtones of the storyline do depict Anakin in a very dark way. His dark brown cloak almost appears black in some scenes. However, the attire of this figure is pure black, just as Luke appeared in Return of the Jedi. This now brings me on to the third reason why I have such a high appreciation of this figure, and that is Darth Vader. Now, this figure just screams Darth Vader in its style. He is not wearing a Jedi robe. He is wearing a cape, just as Vader would. This figure has a beautiful hard plastic cape that is beautifully sculpted, that absolutely encapsulates the flowing cloak of a Darth Vader in either of episodes 4 to 6. It is pretty much how you would expect a human Darth Vader to look. Certainly a military general of the Clone Wars. That is what Anakin was. I mean, in the movie he even says, "Anakin, I'm appointing you to be my personal representative of the Jedi Council." Which means that Palpatine is purposefully trying to pull Anakin away from the Jedi Order. There are some deleted scenes where Anakin is seen stood behind Palpatine, like his right-hand man, which is what he would ultimately become, and the leader of the Imperial Navy. However, in this figure, you can just see a powerful, talented, driven general of the Clone Wars who would subsequently become the last remnant of the Jedi religion. In that respect, it's almost a shame, actually, that he didn't look like this in the movie, because it would have made sense. He was almost a renegade Jedi, even when the Jedi were still alive. Right before the point of the actual purge by the Emperor, he was an outcast. He had been hand-plucked by the most powerful man in the Republic, the Supreme Chancellor. But that brings me on to another element of this figure. This figure is almost an expanded universe portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. This is what he could have looked like had he not lost the final battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Had he not been reduced to a burnt shell of a man that he was before, he would have returned to the Emperor without losing his previous lightsaber, and he would have carried on ruling, being the enforcer of the Republic as the, excuse the pun, the last Jedi. Which is what, ultimately, ironically, Anakin wanted to be when he realised the full potential of his power and what he could do with it. He wanted to stretch his legs and crush his enemies. Though a tear was in his eye at the point of betrayal, he knew what he wanted. He wanted ultimate power, much like the Emperor, much like any Sith Lord. The figure itself, as mentioned before, the head sculpt is absolutely fantastic. They couldn't have done the hair any more accurate than this. It has shriveled wrists, shrivel waist, ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, shrivel hips, unfortunately, ball-jointed knees, and ball-jointed ankles. It is an awesome figure. Just screams out Anakin Skywalker. It screams out the power of that character as one of the most powerful Jedis who ever lived. Potential of the ultimate Sith Lord ever. Thank you very much for watching, listening. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one. Out.